everybody, any facility that receives Medicaid or Medicaid care funding must vaccinate their employees. So we'll see how far that goes, being now that the federal government has backed off with their 100 employee um, um, vaccination requirement, because the Supreme Court did was unconstitutional. So we'll see where that goes, because CMS is also another a federal agency. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. All right. So I guess stay tuned for that information. Moving on then, 4.1, or 4.1, yes, consent business, approved service and business association agreement with Olmsted County for the tuberculosis clinic. And 4.2, approve amended contract for the COVID-19 vaccine campaign.
I would move to approve both of those items, 4.1 and 4.2.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Meyer, second by Commissioner Olson to approve those 4.1 and 4.2. Discussion. I have some concerns about 4.2, and that's explained in our total packet on page 41. With the new thing that's coming out now, the news that's not, vaccines aren't being mandated at the 100 employee level. And we've already spent on an ad campaign, about $37,000 initially, and this is for another 35. I just don't know if spending 35,000 plus on billboards and advertising is the best use of taxpayer dollars. Who are we? Whenever you run an advertising campaign, you're targeting an audience. So what audience in Winona County are we still targeting, trying to get them to potentially maybe have a vaccination that we haven't already reached? And I know there's a lot that this money can be spent for, but I want to spend it smart. And I just don't feel like another advertising campaign is the best use of this money. And I don't know if anybody from staff can tell me who we trying to target, because there's TV, there's billboards, there's a whole bunch of media. And I know government is an economic engine, and I suppose if we spend the money, we're making some advertisers a little bit of profit, by spending that money locally. But what's the goal of doing this? And I see Melanie, or I see Karen. What thoughts have we given to? Is it just an easy way to spend another $35,000 of taxpayer dollars?
No, we take spending taxpayer dollars very judiciously, and it has been always the directive of the county board that we try to focus on getting the communities in Winona County vaccinated. So that is what we are doing. That is what we are attempting to do. If that is not the directive of the county board at this point, or if they would like us to take another direction in achieving that goal, we can do that with. So, but that is what we are attempting to do, is to try to get the majority of the population in Winona County vaccinated so we can reach that herd immunity.
I appreciate that, but tell me, who are you targeting this to? What group of the population are we not seeing vaccinated? Is it the elderly? Is it the young, the middle age? Is it the minority populations? Who are you trying to reach?
The largest population that we have not vaccinated is between the ages of 19 and 35. And Melanie, you can correct me on that if you want to, but that is our largest population. In every time we hold a clinic, there's at least another handful of people coming that have never been vaccinated before. And so I don't know if it's the advertising that's reaching them or what, but it's still that constant messaging out in the communities about receiving those vaccines. So again, it's that age 19 to 35 age group that is unvaccinated. It has the largest amount of people unvaccinated, and that is always our target population. And then also trying to reach, to address health inequity. That we see within some of our minority populations, to be able to assure that they're the message about our availability of vaccinations.
Okay, so you said 19 to 35. And I see a lot of the focus is on print media and such. I think if you really had a true analysis of the advertising market world, that population doesn't read newspapers. That population doesn't watch network TV. Again, I think, is there a time sensitivity on spending these dollars?
So I will pull back and say that some of the network TV is around sporting events. So yes, that population, that age population probably is the majority of the individuals watching that 95-year-old that do watch the sporting events. It's around college football, or not college football. College football's over, but the different sporting events that are out there. I don't have the specifics exactly, but those are the individuals that we are targeting.
So the question, time sensitivity, do we have to spend this money by such and such a time?
This is the use. I believe this is we are using ARPA funds for this. That previous county administrator Fritz had stated that we should utilize. So no, it is not time sensitive. We have until 2024 to spend those funds. So it is we're at the mercy of the county board. If that is not what the county board wants to project out in the community, then that is what we will do.
And then just to correct Karen, it is the COVID-19 vaccine federal implementation grant number 3 that's covering it, but it is the funds are able to be used by December 31st of 2024.
Okay. Yep. So it's still the state ARPA funds versus our ARPA funds.
Okay, so 2024. And I guess this is my personal opinion. I think our world is going to change dramatically in the next month or two on the whole COVID scene. If you listen to the international news and your local news and different doctors and everything. So I don't know if vaccines are going to be the answer. A lot of what I'm hearing is that they're probably going to come up with something different. So I guess being that we've got till 2024, I'd just like to hang on to the funds and wait and see what happens, and maybe do a different type of campaign in the next summer or next year, and yet still use the funds before 2024. It's my opinion of it. Any other discussion?
Well, yeah, I think you bring up some very good points. As if we do have 24 months left, and with as fast as this pandemic keeps evolving, we don't know what we might need funds for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the road now. And maybe they'll figure out that the new masks that they're all giving out are super effective, and maybe we'd rather spend that money on masks for the community, or there could be a lot of different, could be advertising, there could be a lot of different things that could transpire in the next 18 months. So I tend to agree that if people are still coming in to get vaccinated, it's probably not because of they're hearing an ad on the radio. They're probably coming in because they're listening to the news and they feel like they need to come in. So I tend to agree with you.
Any other discussion? Okay, there was a motion to approve 4.1 and 4.2. Commissioner Meyer, Commissioner Olson. Vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay,
I'd
so
like to have had separate votes on those two,
okay,
but the motion was made as it was made.
right. It was made as both of them. So it passes 3-2. Item 5, general business, 5.1, clinic volunteers recognition and appreciation.
So we are not going to give a COVID update tonight. We're going to do a little celebration of some of our accomplishments. And there's some individuals that we would really like to thank this evening. I just want to preface this that early on in my directorship with the Winona County, Administrator Fritz and myself sat down to talk about goals for HHS. And one of the goals that is still plastered up on my pin board in my office is to maximize the use of volunteer resources within the community. So when I was thinking about preparing my thank you tonight, I kind of chuckled because I think we have far exceeded, we have met that goal, not let alone far exceeded it. We have a very small public health agency, and when COVID hit and they're talking vaccines and getting these vaccines out to the community, we could have never accomplished what we accomplished without our volunteers and what they have done and assisted us in implementing all of these vaccine clinics and everything they've done. I want to extend my thanks to Melanie Taji. Melanie came on board 3 months into the pandemic, and she has jumped on board. She's learned a whole new state system, and has brought some leadership to our agency to be able to help us, get these vaccine clinics out. I also wanted to extend my thanks to Ben Klinger and Betsy Zeller. They are phenomenal people, and they have just really worked so hard to be able to get the vaccines out there. So I'm going to turn this over to Melanie Taji and allow her to be able to speak on her staff's behalf. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. So the last 22 months of the COVID-19 pandemic have been stressful and enduring. However, since joining Winona County, I have been continuously impressed with how well the Winona County Incident Command Team, public health team, and numerous partners and volunteers have united together to address the pandemic. From multiple press conferences to press releases, contact tracing and case investigation, vaccine clinics, mass testing events, registering individuals for their vaccine appointments, data analysis, education and outreach, and coordinating essential services, Winona County has done it all. Winona County is extremely fortunate to have a team of highly skilled professionals who are dedicated to Winona County Health and Human Services. Okay, are we better now? Winona County's Health and Human Services mission of fostering a healthy and stable community. Winona County Public Health employees, partners, and volunteers have been the backbone to the successes we have had against the pandemic. And we wouldn't be where we are today with a 68.2% COVID-19 vaccination rate without countless hours and hard work. I want to sincerely back a little bit. Okay. I apologize for that. I want to sincerely thank the Winona County Incident Command Team, our volunteers and partners, specifically Ben Klinger, Betsy Zeller, April Ladenberg-Kerrigan, Bonnie Herrick, Megan Muslov, Deborah McComb, Stacy Costello, Abby Nelson, Tracy Finnerty, Jeff Peterson, Kelsey Scott, Valerie Williams, Jennifer Korberg, Kelly Wooden, Jessica Allred, Jan Murdy, Jenny Kurth, Michelle Wardrell, and Polly Gradine, and numerous Winona State University practicum students and intern students. It's hard to come up with the adequate words to describe how much their time and dedication mean. Thank you so much for the immeasurable, valuable work you have done and continue to do. And it's an honor to work with you as part of the team.
Thanks, Melanie. I just want to give real quick some numbers, what we've been able to do with these volunteers and our partners in the community. In 2021, we did 267 clinics from Dakota to St. Charles. We weren't in every community, but we tried to centralize ourselves so that we could serve every community. With that, we served people in their homes, went to their houses, people who couldn't get to clinics. Our team delivered 31,606 doses of vaccine. I just want to highlight real quick some of our partners that helped us. The Winona Fire Department provided over 2,000 man hours to help us with this. Winona State student volunteers, many of them nursing students, but when we really needed help at the beginning, they reached out across their student body to anybody that needed volunteer hours. They put in almost 1,800 hours of volunteer time at our clinics. Our public health volunteers, many of them retired nurses, put in over 600 hours of volunteer time. Volunteers for emergency management that help out with other disasters and stuff normally put in over Other community partners that helped us were Winona Park and Rec, the Winona Senior Friendship Center, Gunderson Health, Winona Health, the Southeastern Minnesota Center for the Independent Living helped at a lot of our clinics. The Sheriff's Office jail transport officers worked at a lot of our clinics. As Melanie mentioned, many interns and practicum students. Winona Area Ambulance provided staff for us at some of our clinics. Project Find helped us out immensely at a lot of our clinics, and St. Mary's University. I'm going to add, I probably missed somebody. I sat down, tried to go through my lists and stuff, but if I missed somebody, I apologize. It truly was a community effort, and it took a community to get this done. With that, we want to recognize a couple of our volunteers that went above and beyond what the rest of the volunteers did. We'd love to have all our volunteers here tonight to recognize them, but that's impossible. So I'm going to introduce the first volunteer, and then Betsy Zeller is going to introduce the other one. Dan Goltz has been a volunteer with emergency management and the county since the 70s, doing Skywarn and working in the EOC. His background in pharmacy was a wealth of knowledge to us at these clinics. It gave us an expert on site all the time to help us out. Dan's always willing to help. If I call, Dan's here to help with whatever we need. He put in over 300 hours volunteering for us during the pandemic. He also helped Winona Health with vaccines, and he does a lot of work with the Lions Club. He's been going down to Fort McCoy, helping out with the refugees. So Dan retired just to work harder, I think, and work harder for his community. So I think we need to recognize Dan for that. So Dan, I have something. So we have a plaque here for you, Dan, recognizing your hours in 2021. I do want to point out that's in 2021. This isn't your release. We will continue to call on you whenever we need, and I know you will be there to help us out. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to open the pharmacy back up.
Yeah.
And Betsy Zeller is going to introduce our next volunteer.
Thanks, Beth. Irma Bombeck once said, volunteers are the only human beings on the face of the earth who reflects this nation's compassion, unselfish caring, patience, and just plain loving one another. Winona County has been fortunate enough to have had a community of volunteers that stepped up without hesitation to support us in our efforts to vaccinate Winona County and beyond. One of the groups I would like to recognize are our retired public health nurses, Lynn Duncan, Connie Roach, Mary Brunk, and Jan Nitty. When I called upon them to help us with distribution of the vaccine, they all answered with a resounding yes, of course. Just goes to show that once a public health nurse, always a public health nurse. I would like to thank each and every one of them for being a helping hand. You made our load lighter and smoother. I want you to know that you are all appreciated and you are part of our success in delivering vaccines to over 30,000 people. However, one young lady stands out in particular, Jan Nitty, AKA the Knitting Grandma. She has amassed over 250 plus hours of time at our vaccine clinics. Many times over the course of the pandemic, I have called her up when shorthanded, and she never hesitated to provide a helping hand. Jan's volunteerism does not stop with our organization. In her spare time, you may find her helping out with home delivered meals, church or funeral choir, church festival, and marine art museum. If that is enough to keep her busy, she fits in time for her 5 children, 10 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Jan has not only been a mentor and inspiration to me during our time working together at Winona County Health, but she has continued to be a mentor to me as a nurse and a new grandma during the time spent at the vaccine clinics. I am proud to call Jan not only a volunteer, but a friend. Thank you for keeping me sane over the past 2 years. You are truly an inspiration. There you go. Thank you so much.
I think she makes a mean apple pie too. Is that?
That's right.
I almost wore my apple sweater.
Ah, okay. Is, okay, I can't say is that all, because as you said, we had a lot of people volunteer and step up above and beyond. And so we greatly appreciate their concentrated efforts. Definitely. All right. Any other business to come before the Winona County Health Board?
Adjourn.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Jacob, second by Commissioner Kavesi to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. We're adjourned. All right. Yes, that, please. All right. Thank you.
You doing?
I'm going to call this meeting of the Winona County Board to order. Our first order of business is a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business is public comment. Is there anyone in the room or attending the meeting virtually through the internet who would like to make a comment? If you're here in the room, please step up to the podium and state your name and address. If you're online, could you unmute yourself, state your name and address, and make your comment? For the second time, this is our public comment period. Is there anyone here in the room or on the internet who would like to make a comment to the Winona County Board? For the third and final time, this is our public comment period. Is there anyone here in the room or on the internet that would like to make a comment to the county board? Hearing nothing, I'm going to move on to our next order of business. That's the approval of the county board minutes from January 11th of 2022.
Move approval of the board minutes from January 11th, 2022.
Motion by Commissioner Kavesi to approve those minutes and seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oops, anyone opposed? Got excited there. The next order of business is to acknowledge the receipt of approved committee minutes, 5.1 and 5.2, which are Parks and Environment and the Whitewater Joint Powers Board.
Acknowledge 5.1 and 5.2.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacob to acknowledge those minutes, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Consent comments and approval of agenda. Commissioner Ward.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to pull 7.4 for a separate vote.
Okay,
And I would like to also pull 7.16 for more discussion, please.
so 7.4 is going to become 8.0 under general business. 7.16 is going to become 8.01 under general business. Anything else?
Possibly an agenda item.
A future board action?
Right, yes,
Okay.
possibly. We'll see where the discussion goes. Thank you.
Kavesi?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Commissioner Jacob?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Olson?
Nothing for me, Madam Chair.
And nothing for me. Commissioner, I'm sorry, County Attorney Sonneman.
Nothing for me.
Okay. Administrator Holte.
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Okay. So I think we need, if,
Madam Chair, being that there was a note left at our table, I would like to pull 7.1 for an acknowledgement then.
okay. So
I
I'm,
want to also do 7.19 too.
Yeah, it was amended late, very late this
Oh.
afternoon.
1 and
I didn't get that
7.19
either. So
are-
apparently
Oh,
that's a
one-
7.
1-9? Oh,
Yeah,
I,
well, there are two of them. One's from Auditor Treasurer Sukla and the other one is from County Recorder.
It was sent
Bamanek.
out very late this afternoon.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
so I didn't update I only have the one that was earlier. Okay, all right.
Given that, Commissioner Ward, do you want to still pull 7-1?
Well, I think the public should understand what's going on.
Okay, so you're wanting a separate discussion of 7-1 and 7-19?
Yes, please.
Okay, so then we're making them 8.02 and 8.03.
Sure.
Okay, I think that I would be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ward, seconded by Commissioner Kavesi. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Consent business. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. Do you read it first or do we? Yes, okay. So Commissioner Hulty, would you read the consent business for us into the record?
7.1 was pulled. 7.2, approve resolution increasing Sheriff's Department change fund. 7.3, approve service and business associate agreements with Olmsted County for tuberculosis clinic. 7.4 was pulled. 7.5, approve monthly resolution. 7.6, approve renewal of purchase of service and business associate agreements with Catholic Charities Diocese and Winona, Rochester for Guardian Conservative Services. Sorry, my vision's going blurry here. 7.7, approve renewal of purchase of services and business associate agreements with Lutheran Social Services of Minnesota for Guardian Conservator Services. 7.8, approve amendment and business associate agreement with Common Ground for Rule 25, comprehensive chemical health assessments. 7.9, approve agreement and business associate agreement with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Center for Rule 25, comprehensive chemical health assessments. 7.10, approve purchase of service and business associate agreements with Family and Children's Center for mental health services, basic living, social skills. 7.11, approve master subscription and services and business associate agreements with Binti Incorporated, approvals platform for foster care application and workflow management. 7.12, approve purchase of service and business associate agreements with Olmsted County for specialized case management for potential and existing clients of Anoka Metro Regional Treatment Center and Minnesota Security Hospital. 7.13, approve Personnel Board of Appeals resolution. 7.14, approve resolution for donations received October 1st through December 31st, 2021. 7.15, approve transfer of funds for retiree insurance for period January 1 to December 31st, 2021. 7.16 is pulled. 7.17, confirm payment of disbursements. 7.18, approve data bank contract to coordinate on-base and OpenGov databases for document retention, and 7.19 was pulled.
Thanks. For a motion to approve the consent agenda?
First of all, point of order, we didn't approve the agenda, which should be prior to the consent business. So
We did not take a vote?
first of all, we approve the agenda and then we do the consent business and then we approve the consent business. So we haven't approved the agenda. That's how you've always done it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So I would move to approve the amended agenda. Which we know,
We already approved the agenda.
No, we didn't vote on that.
Yeah, we did.
We'll do it again.
Okay, we'll do it again.
who's taking minutes?
Okay, so Commissioner Ward has moved. Commissioner Jacob has seconded.
Yes.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? For sure, we've now approved the agenda. Okay, so we've read the consent business, so I think we would be looking for a motion to
Move
approve.
to approve the consent business as read.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Consent agenda is passed. So our first item now under general business is 8.0, which used to be 7.4, which is approve the amended contracts for the COVID-19 vaccine campaign.
Okay, and Madam Chair, I asked to pull that. I don't know if our public health meeting is broadcast, that the public understands. I don't think it is it? No, okay. So we did have discussion at our public health, community health board meeting. But again, I have to reiterate, we're spending approximately another 38,000, or is it 35? I'm sorry. 35,000 of a federal grant dollars on running more ads that emphasize the need for vaccinations. And I did ask if it was time sensitive, and it is not. Well, it is till we have the availability to spend funds out into 2024. I personally feel that our campaign may have to change. There's a lot going on in the world of vaccinations and information and strategies to work within the COVID realm. And I just think I would prefer to hold spending that money on an advertising campaign now that just strictly is encouraging vaccinations for potentially a different type of campaign or approach moving out into 2024. So I do not support approving the amended contracts for the COVID-19 vaccine campaign.
Motion to approve 7.4.
Second.
Motion to approve 8.0 for
Right.
formerly 7.4 by Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Kavesi. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none. We go ahead. Would you prefer to have a roll call vote on this? No? Okay. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. 8.01 is former 7.16, which is to approve the transfer of funds from general fund to health fund and human services fund on 12/31/21.
Okay, and thank you, Madam Chair. I asked to have this pulled. I think we all received this afternoon a breakdown. I did ask for a breakdown of what this amount is. This is something that we always do. It's so that the state auditor, we get the zero balance. And it's kind of that government accounting. But you can see by the major areas of change why we're transferring over $800,000 from general fund to the human service category. Out-of-home placement, a net increase of $173,799. Foster care revenue is down. The revenue is down $120,156. Legal expenses are up $159,754. Over 65 revenue is down $102,668. And shelter care, group residential, and supervised living are up $208,161. I guess at some point in the near future, I want some explanations of where we came up with those dollars, how we can better manage what we're doing in those areas, and avoid possibly having to transfer this kind of money. Are we not budgeting enough? I know some things are totally out of our control. We don't know how many we'll have at any one time. But there again, I would like more facts and figures, like on out-of-home placement, an increase. Okay, how many increases, how many more days, or things like that. I think we deserve a more detailed breakdown of the information versus just being asked to transfer, $800 and some thousand. So I don't not want to transfer the money because it is for accounting, but I do ask that we put this on the agenda future for more of an in-depth discussion and a breakdown of where these expenses are coming or why the revenue is down and what we can do. Because human services is a big part of our budget. And I think we need to do the best job we can at managing it all.
Madam Chair, may I speak, please?
Yeah, the Director of Health and Human Services would like to respond. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I would be more than happy to provide you that information and give you that breakdown of what we're spending and why we're spending and how we're spending it. Again, this is mostly in our children and family services area. So we have little we have little control over it. We do have controls, quality control measures in place to assure that a child is not, or that courts are not placing individuals or these individual children longer than necessary. And we do work to, as a children's justice initiative, to be able to assure that we're serving children in the best possible way. We are still continuing on with our work in our early intervention and prevention work group that Commissioner Meyer is chairing, along with HHS Advisory Committee member Andy Kranz. And so we will continue to work on these. Also, when we speak about budgeting, Finance Director Moga and myself, and then previous Administrator Fritz, the way we have been budgeting is we're typically taking what kind of the middle of the road, and what we are, like an average or more of a median of what we are spending, because we don't want to take like the highest projected spending from the previous years, because we might artificially inflate the tax levy, and we don't want to do that. So we really need to maybe spend some time talking about how the county board would like to direct us in that budgeting. So that is, I'm more than welcome to have that discussion. If the county board wants to have a working session, I'm more than happy to do that. We can, I'm more than willing to assist you with understanding Health and Human Services and our very, very, very complex funding sources. Also with the Title IV revenues, that is a direct impact of the changes that are been made at the state and federal levels. That we have very strict regulations in place internally to assure that we're maximizing our revenues through our Title IV and our North Star foster care revenues, to assure that we're receiving maximum revenues. Some of those changes, like individuals that working in childcare facilities, if they're not or if they do not have an approved background check, we cannot claim that funding from that facility. And so with our background studies being shut down for almost 9 months, that has directly impacted. That is a direct correlation between the shutdown of the background studies and our revenues that we've been able to recapture for some of our facilities. So those are just some things I just wanted to highlight. And again, like I said, I'm more than happy to provide that education to the board, the entire board, for what our revenues look like, and what we're doing to try and protect taxpayer funds.
Madam Chair? No, wait, I'm Madam Chair now. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Karen. I in no way am I saying anybody's doing anything wrong, but we continually need to manage this area as close as we can, and we need the data, the specific data, to lobby and legislate our state legislators and even our federal legislators to say why this is continually being a problem. And they want. I've known in the past both Representative Pulowski and Senator Miller, and I'm sure Representative Drazkowski and Senator Goggins, if we can give them specific Winona County data, it always goes further. So that's part of my inquiry, is we need specific data, where the problems are, where the money's not coming, how we can better manage this. And then we need their funding. We can't keep relying on, as you indicated, we can't keep relying on local property tax dollars to make up the difference. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not the way the system was set up to be. But we have to advocate for ourselves. Nobody else is going to. So I would appreciate a working session to really give us some details and be able to speak in detail.
Yep, absolutely. I'm more than happy to do that. And please know, I did not take it as a criticism. It is what it is. And we do, we have really worked hard, even previously, prior to myself becoming director, when I was in Children and Family Services, we worked really hard to try and get our revenues under, or, maximize our revenues and get our spending under control. So those have stayed in place. And so we're really, we're continuing to work on it. And it is really one of our goals, especially from our strategic plan, to maximize revenues and reduce expenses wherever we can.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other discussion? Commissioner Olson?
Motion to approve 8.01, formerly 7.16.
I think we maybe already have that on the, maybe not.
No,
Okay,
That's a
Second,
okay. Is there any other further discussion? Otherwise, I did have a comment. I know that from before the time that I even thought about running for county commissioner, the volatility of, in particular, out-of-home placements for children has been a big topic of discussion at this board. So, and I know that our Health and Human Services Department has made great strides in terms of making that funding and that revenue more predictable. So I think you are absolutely right, Commissioner Ward. There's more for us to learn about it, but I know that there are also difficulties with the way that the system is designed at the state level.
So just with that motion, I will support the transfer, but I do want to ask that staff work on putting together some type of working session in the near future so they can break this down.
Yeah. Okay, so our normal process for future,
And I can bring it up then.
yes, okay, let's do that because I will certainly second that, but our process is that we have a second and then we have a discussion and then we decide. Okay, so there is a motion by Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Ward? No, Kavesi, to go ahead and approve this item, 8.01, which used to be 7.16. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. So we move on to 8.02, which is former 7.01, accept the auditor treasurer's notice of intent not to file for reelection. This was pulled by Commissioner Ward.
Right, and so I feel the public needs to understand what's going on here. And so Sandra Sukla, our current auditor treasurer, has chosen at this point and within statute to notify us that she is not will not be running for reelection. And so page 22 was her notice that she's not doing that. So the public needs to know we will have an opening in the fall of November of 2022 now. That auditor treasurer position will be will be on the ballot. Or there's that option of changing it from an elected to some other combination.
Yeah, I think that it's good that you brought this up. Many counties have gone to making that non-elected, making it a hired position. So it's good for the community to be aware. If anyone's qualified, they want to run for that position. I would support that first. If no one comes forward, then this board is going to have to potentially look at making it an in-house hired position again. So.
Any other?
I just wanted
County
to note,
Attorney's
I'm sorry. This is a relatively new statute. It's from 2019. And as I read it, it's as it's referenced in Ms. Sukla's agenda item 375A.1205 subdivision 2. It focuses on the county treasurer, county recorder, and county auditor, or a combination of auditor treasurer. It does not mention the sheriff or the county attorney. And it does appear to be allowing county boards to make a decision before an election by resolution whether or not they want to have that as an appointed office. And that would be different than the other manner of doing that, which takes a lot longer and requires a referendum. So, excuse me, this would require a resolution from the board. So I would just take note that that's a relatively new statute. I appreciate had given me a heads up so I could do a little research on it and make it a little clearer as to what this is about. Recorder Bamanek has also in 7.19 given that same notice, but he's.
No, not the same notice.
No, the same, yes.
Bob's here.
The
Bob
same-
is
I know
running.
he's here.
He's running.
Right. I
He is
mean, the
filing
same
for
notice
it.
under the
Yeah,
statute
but
that
not
he
he's
is running.
running. Yes.
Yes, no, I read
Perfectly
his.
clear, Bob.
I read his before the meeting. Yeah, thank you. So, but I just, it's like I said, a relatively new statute and I would just suggest that you might want to read it. It's part of the 37-page legislative law that came into being in 2019, which is under government operations. So
That's
was
why
a-
we hadn't seen it before.
Mhm,
Okay,
yeah, it's-
something new.
yep.
It was
So,
something new.
yeah,
Okay.
so thank you.
All right. So I guess I move to accept the letters. And then the public understands both 7.1 and the amended agenda 7.19.
So 8.02 and 8.03.
Right.
Ms. Sucha?
Oh.
I just like to
Yeah.
offer some clarification, just so that the public understands. Because the county is primary possible, filings open May 17th, they close May 31st.
Okay.
2 days after May 31st is the last day to withdraw. The county does need to advertise in the county publication which offices will be open for filing. I had heard the date of November thrown out there, and I
Well,
just didn't
general
want,
election.
I
Sure.
wanted the public to be aware that it'll happen, filings will happen sooner than that.
So repeat that. Original filings are May 17th through May 31st.
Correct. Filings
Okay.
open May
Open.
17th and run through May 31st
Okay.
at 5 PM. And then the last day to withdraw would be June 2nd at 5 PM.
Okay.
And like I said, that there will be publication in the county newspaper or the Winona Daily News, I believe is what was chosen.
Right.
So we will be advertising all offices that the county takes filings for.
But the office, I looked at the statute this afternoon and it just says the office, offices, but I gathered from that means the auditor, treasurer and recorder, but not any other officers have to be advertised in the paper. Only
No,
all of
no,
them do?
Right.
so
It's just a filing that you are or
It's-
aren't, right?
It's, the statute, at least the way I interpret it, because it says this is how, under this statute, these officers have to give notice if they're gonna run again or not.
Which officers is it?
County recorder, county auditor, county treasurer, and in our case, it's a combined auditor treasurer.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so, and that's so that the board can make some decisions, whether, if that office is going to be open for election, so.
I read it and I was like, wait.
It's a little
Do I have to
confusing.
do this? No.
It's a little confusing, but if you read it, it's like a lot of statutes, you have to read it in total, and it says under this statute, this applies, so.
there are certain offices
Yeah.
that cannot be appointed.
Right.
But the auditor, treasurer and recorder do have that option of
Could
being appointed.
Yeah,
so.
okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for those clarifications. All right, so we have a motion made by Commissioner Ward, and who did the second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Jacob seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then would those in signify by saying aye in favor of accepting the intent not to file and the intent to file on the part of the recorder.
One more point of clarification. So even if they submit a letter to file, could that still exist that we could make that an appointed position?
Under a different statute, yes, but
Okay.
not
Not
under
under
this
this one, okay.
statute, right?
No fear.
This
Bob,
closes
just
the
throwing
door.
it out.
Right, this closes the door to it under the 375A.
Well, so if you, that brings up most of the time you need a referendum to
Yes,
pass something like that.
yeah, there's a
because
different
it's
statutory
requirement. Yeah, so
procedure.
we're not going there yet tonight.
No, no, no.
There's been counties across the state that have made these positions, non-elected positions for many years, and that was discussed 10 years ago when I ran for office, and I didn't support it then. And I would first support going through the elected process, and if we don't have someone willing to run for the position, then we wouldn't have a choice. But I would certainly exhaust that first. I think county surveyor used to be an elected. A number of them that used to be elected.
Dog catcher.
Dog catcher. Assessor, maybe?
No.
I don't know the
The
history.
county coroner.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay, are we ready to vote, folks? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. So we move on to 8.1 under general business, receive an update from the Recorder's Department.
Is there anyone that would like a hard copy?
Have you
I-
made some?
I
Have you made
figured
some?
I figured you would, so I didn't print mine.
You've been much too busy,
I've got it on
Bob.
the screen, Bob, so thank you.
Much too
Thank you.
busy.
Much too busy.
Slow down. A lot of sales, lots of activity. Amazing.
You're welcome. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, commissioners. I know the last group had some-
Stand back or
Just
move
push
it
it away
away.
from you more.
Yeah, push it away.
Okay. Well, that was rather unexpected because I wanted to start by complimenting everyone that has been involved with the audio video. There has been a very nice improvement. And a couple months ago, there was a lot of frustration by people that were trying to join the meeting and no one knew that they were there. So I think we're really on the right track here. Screens are impressive. The audio tonight was just exceptional, and except for the loud noise that I made, we're doing quite well.
Although, Bob, you bring up can we tell, I see 3 people on the
Oh,
chat.
chat,
So
yeah.
were people trying to get in? Do we know?
So we had trouble with the recording, the camera.
Uh-huh.
And so those are comments about not being able to see.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Sorry. I just saw that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think it's the coldest night of the year so far, and we have the hottest topic, and it's not COVID.
Right.
All right, it is the demand for homes, land, and commercial properties, and it's unprecedented. We have record numbers of sales, and they have produced record sale prices and an extremely competitive market. 764 homes that sold during 2021 in our county. It's a record, and it was up from 725 a year ago. The price range with the most sales has gone up by $50,000. It's now 150 to 200,000. For years, it had been 100 to 150,000. So there's a very direct reflection on the higher prices that are being paid for homes. 80% of the homes that sold during the last quarter of 21 sold above the county market value. And to take it a step further, in December, all of the homes that sold in the city of Winona, all of them sold above county market value. These are unprecedented. We have never experienced this before. What I'm sharing with you tonight has at least 6 first-time, all-time records for the county. So I'll just mention one other one. The last working day of the year, we did 93 transactions, and that is twice the normal number. And we worked late into the evening. On November of 2021, we had 83 homes that sold during that month. That was also another all-time high for the county. So just lots and lots of activity. At year end, we had 24 people without a home. They fully expected after looking for some time that they would have one at the end of the year. 4 of them decided to rent. 2 of them are saying the picture's not changed. They expect they'll be renting for quite some time. But that's a little bit about how we ended the year. Record activity, but still a pretty significant number of people, if not a record number of people looking for homes. Our commercial was almost the same. We had just a really big year, $68 million of commercial property sold. And that compared with 30 million in 2020. So that's a pretty good increase. The big sale of the year for dollars was Peerless Chain, was 14 million. And this is significant to Winona because Peerless Chain does worldwide business. And just a few years ago, there was an ocean-going vessel that was taking on water and starting to sink on the high water. The Chinese were there first with a whole boat of chain to try to pull the vessel up. One chain after another was breaking, snapping. It took time, but the arrangements were made for heavy-duty chain from Peerless Chain in Winona, Minnesota. And when they got there, without a break, they pulled the vessel up. And that was a story that was told to me by one of the sales reps for Peerless Chain. He's no longer with us today, but the company is very important to us. It's employment and it's a fixture in Winona. Since 2008, it was owned by another industrial group. What happened this December, in fact, just the day before Christmas Eve, it was recorded, it went back to Peerless Chain. That group today is comprised of investors from Japan, not China. So it's just interesting. Now we've got representation of investors from Japan in Winona, and Winona providing chain worldwide. All right, that wasn't the only sale. There's a long list there in the packet that came on to you, but I just wanted to take a minute to talk about that because in Winona, we sometimes think that we're a small community and, you know, it's just the business that we see here. And it's very much worldwide. It's also interesting that the top commercial sale a year earlier was also a worldwide company, totally a different product, but still worldwide. And that was Windcraft. So both of these firms were very proud of. The strip mall near Walmart knocked our socks off. It's sold. It's the one where Aspen Dental is located. It sold for $5,474,000, and that came in just before the holidays. We had a couple of parcels near that in the Walmart Menard area along Frontenac. They're a little bit bigger than a city block. One of them sold for $566,000, and the other one for $650,000. And the $650,000 is the last open area between Frontenac and Walmart. So it's going to start closing that in a little bit. All right, just a couple other things at the Winona Mall. There's also a strip mall that has Taco John's and a number of businesses in it. And that one at the same time sold for $1,850,000. It was just a big time for the strip malls. And since then, to start 2022, another strip mall, the one with Rogan's, has sold. And we already have a number of significant 22 sales in, but we're still going to concentrate on 21 for a minute. Culver sold $3,300,000. This one we're really thrilled about, the Carriage House Bed and Breakfast on Main Street. It sold for $700,000, and the word that we received was that it would continue as a bed and breakfast. And that is really an asset to Winona. And these sales have all been in Winona, but we did have commercial countywide. I'm going to touch on just a couple. But the other big area of sales in the city of Winona was rental homes and apartments. There were about 50. And in the city of Winona and countywide, we had representation of many, many different businesses that properties sold. So it wasn't isolated, like sometimes it's just a few of one thing. Very diverse group. All right, when we went beyond the city of Winona and out in the county at Lewiston a few years ago, this was a vacant building, and now it is the Crocus Senior Living, and it sold for $1.9 million, a very active location and providing a really necessary service in Lewiston. At St. Charles, John Deere dealership sold for $1.8 million. And then outside of, just a little bit outside of Utica, there's an ag center that sold for $550,000. One small sale, but an extremely important one. The Pickwick Fire Department has been trying for some time to gain a little additional land for some expansion that's needed. And after a significant amount of effort, they have accomplished purchasing some additional land now for $35,000. So I want to congratulate them. Okay, we set another record with 73 land sales in the county. That's twice the usual number. And in that group, we have some that are significant acreages and some that are just smaller acreages. Over 5,000 acres is included in the 73 sales. Total price tag for all of these is $30 million. And I'm going to talk with you in just a minute about some of the more detailed sales. But I will say that the tillable farmland range from 5,000 to 12,763 per acre. And the wooded acreages, they just keep going up each time a sale comes in. The range was 3,000 to 8,556 per acre. And I do want to say that last one, it is considerably higher. It is a wooded area, but it's also intended for a new home. And even locations for new homes are very difficult to get. Everything is extremely tight in Winona County. Let's just take a couple of the pages. I just want to mention a couple of things. I'm on page 2, and what these ranges are doing here are showing the numbers of sales, home sales that take place in each range. And the new range that I refer to is third from the top. See if that helps a little bit. I want to be sure that you can hear, but I noticed the echo. And the one that just moved us up 50,000 and set the record is the third line, and it had 198 sales in the 150 to 200 range. So that it is significant. It's a reflection on much higher prices being paid. The other part of it, though, that we want to note is the very bottom figure before the total. It's the 59. And if you go to the left, that's 59 homes that sold that were above 400,000. And during 21, we had significant activity in that range, which usually there's activity, but not to the level that we've just experienced. So another record there. The high for the year in Marsh's area, 899,000 per home on Apple Blossom Drive. And that came real early in 21. And I did mention that once before, but we're always asked that question. So we've got a lot of value in the homes on Apple Blossom Drive all the way through. All right. On the spreadsheets, we have many people looking at them, using them. They're on our website. And one of the reasons that they're critically important right now is because prices are changing rapidly and you need to be informed. We had some seniors that were talking about selling and not getting the professional help that they needed. And I think they were thinking back of those long ago years when, mom or dad passed away. Now we have their home. Are we going to be able to sell it? And that is not the case today. And for a couple of the senior groups, we even put together a handout that had a couple of examples of homes in each price range. And those pictures, I think, really told the story, and we received some favorable response. And I want to let all of you know that we did that to try to help some of the seniors, just give them some ideas on where prices are today. So a couple of them, I think, sold low, but they did not have professional help. And that is absolutely, in my opinion, something that should be done at this time with the market that we have. All right, you'll see across the top, it tells you a location, it tells you a purchase price, and then an estimated market value. Those are some key pieces of information. It's all public data. It's really helpful, and we're just really proud that we have it out there. The next one I was going to pick up on just real quickly. We talked a little bit about the commercial sales, and on page 10 are the listing, and this is a very diverse listing. We don't have that. And I can tell you that I remember clearly in the late 1980s sitting at meetings with the city of Winona when we would have 3 or 4 commercial sales in the year. And we were brainstorming as to what we could suggest or what we thought we might do with downtown Winona. Have the stores vacant, no interest. And today, we can be so proud that we have an entirely different picture. So I wanted to mention that because we've lived through it, and today, very, very desirable, as well as all the other real estate in the county. Okay, the rural land sales, they're on page 14. Same thing with the spreadsheet. We've got a little bit about the sale price, the type of land, where it's located, and then how that breaks down per acre if there are no buildings. And that's been very helpful for people. We received some positive feedback on that, and keeping it current is really key to helping people that are in need of that information. And I could spend quite a while talking about all the needs, so they're out there. All right, the next page on 13, we got a little bit more breakdown on a couple of the price ranges that I gave you. First of all, on the tillable, we had a number of lower sales early in the year, and I think they were some sales that were agreed upon, at some time prior to that. Year end, we did have some higher sales. The average for all the sales was for these 15 was 7,387 per acre. During the very end days of 2021, there was an auction sale and at Saratoga, 99 acres, 90 of pretty good tillable land sold, and that came in at 9,000 an acre. We had a couple other sales that were in that range, and I think that year end that was a reflection on the value of good tillable land. And that still leaves us low if we look at counties around us, especially if we go south into Iowa. So I think, as always, Winona County is absolutely a good buy. The timber, the average here was 4707, and we did have a couple other sales. We've got a couple in now for 22, and they're reflecting even some strength to that number. So that gives you, I think, a kind of a picture of a little bit of the residential, the commercial, and our land. And there was a request that we talk a little bit about the vital records. And we've had requests from a few other entities, including the Winona School District, and we've provided information to a number of parties. But here's something to look at. During the early time of the COVID, late 19 and then 2020, what we were being told was that, there was just, going to be an awful lot of weddings. People were going to have to be at home. They were going to be hanging all together, and they would be coming in and getting marriage licenses. You know what? Just the opposite happened. You see, if you look at the numbers right across the top, it was only early this year that we really had some days a number of people at the counter wanting to come in. Even early this year, we were able to do applications remotely. They wanted to come in. We were masked up and used our divider at the counter. We worked with all of them, did what we could online. But for 21, we ended up with 296 marriage licenses that were issued, and certainly a big jump from the 2 years prior to that. One other thing that really sets us apart, and if we look at the bottom line, the deaths in just about all jurisdictions, the death count is up, and it is way up. In Winona County in 2021, it dropped. And I can only commend people all across the community working with seniors, especially to keep them healthy. I know a lot of the folks that have been doing the work, and I think along with the county and people that you would talk to earlier tonight and many, many more, the word really got out there. And I think the seniors overall have been very careful. We can be very proud tonight that 341, we're going to miss each one of them. But when we look at the last couple of years before that, the numbers are much higher. So I think this is a really big positive for us. All right, and
You're welcome.
let's see.
No, we were working with you.
And thank you too, and I appreciate that. All right, can I have one more minute? Yeah.
Yes.
I
Okay.
was
All
kidding.
right. Okay.
Well, being a senior, you're welcome.
Well, there's something coming up that's worth waiting for. I know that this is, maybe I should, no, I'm not gonna tell you first because Greg will tell me, yeah, time is up. But it has to do with how we're doing. I've had numerous calls and people stopping in and stopping me out on the street and saying, when are the foreclosures going to start? They're just expecting that because we have had some tremendously high prices. There's a couple of things in our office that really point to how we're doing. In the late 80s, when I started, we had huge numbers of mortgages and we had very few satisfactions, very few. The numbers were terribly out of sync and it just got worse. Tonight, the numbers are in sync. We've had stable numbers of mortgages for 2 years running. We had 2,550 this year and 2,500 last year. I think that's stable. The number of satisfactions is about 200 ahead of the mortgages. So that would indicate to me that if parties did have 2 mortgages out with the current interest rate and help from the bankers and lenders, they probably brought that money together. I think those are very stable figures. The other part of it is in our recordings as a whole, we're up 12%. There's been a lot of activity. 2 other figures, there were requests not to do foreclosures during COVID. And I think that really the bankers, the lenders, especially the local ones, have really gone all out. I commend them. For last year, we had 19 foreclosures. That would be, I'm talking 2020. And then for 21, 13. And that's just fantastic that number would drop. So I see that as very positive, but that's something that we will have to watch. And in any year of good business, there are always some reasons that things don't go well, and that's absolutely part of what we expect. All right, couple of things about the year that's starting. We have excellent interest rates. Even if they go up, they still are historically the lowest that we have ever had. And some people think that if you go back into the 1880s that you're going to find them. And I went back and I found as much as 30%. And that was in 1880. So, and I found high numbers like that in the 20s, 25% in a lot of early years. So I think 2%, I believe it's a record. The challenge that's here tonight, what about those 24 people that don't have a home? And there aren't enough homes, there's not enough land, there's not enough commercial properties to meet the current demand. And I'm going to refer back to one other thing and tell you why this is so important. But before I do that, there's a huge opportunity out there, something that's never happened before. We have a very big Winona landlord with a large number of properties who's selling about 75 of them. And most are apartments, but there is a fair number, actually a pretty big number of single family homes that were renovated to apartments. If they could be reconverted back to single family homes, it would be an absolute plus at this time for Winona and Winona County. There are people looking at it, but it takes special arrangements with lenders, and you really have to be committed, especially when you're not able to move in at purchase time. The other thing is some of them have leases through the summer, and that presents challenges. But I want to look at it as an opportunity. And above all, I mentioned once before about professional help. If you're buying or selling, have a realtor. The market is changing too fast. You need someone that's on top of it day and night. And talk to your banker. It's wise today to have an attorney and use any other party, person, entity that can be helpful. In some cases, that might be an accountant, but a lot of different people. All right, I want to refer back to the vitals for just a minute, the one that I skipped. 10 years ago tonight, we had exactly twice the births in Winona County that we had in 21. And when we look at this 142 births, we have to keep in mind that some of these births are from parties that live in another county, specifically across the river, Buffalo, Trempealeau. They do use the Winona health system, so that number has to be adjusted. It does not include the births that take place in Olmsted County at Mayo or Gunderson in La Crosse, and that's part of our county. But we have a couple of new high schools, and they're looking to the future, and this number is not going to sustain them. We need more homes in Winona, and when average family size is now under 3, we need quite a few. And the lumber price is still prohibitive, but this is a challenge, and this is as big a challenge to the vitality and the future of our county. The census has not given us official numbers for 2020. What they've done is given us a third best estimate. But for the county, they did give us a number, and I passed that on to all of you. That came when we would have expected it. But we're a little below 50,000. And 50,000 is a critical number for a lot of paybacks, especially for the school district. They're taking a hit with that. So somehow, some way, we really need to focus a little bit on bringing a few more people here. We have more traffic in the morning from all directions than what we've had, but we've filled up places like Rushford, Peterson, and go right around us. Where there's still some availability is at Caledonia. There's a little bit at Lanesboro. There's some at Preston, but they're an hour out and an hour each way. People in this area aren't accustomed to that. And whether they're going to La Crosse, Winona, or Rochester, it's really too far out. Some of them will be good because there's more and more people working from home, and that may provide part of the answer. Okay, the big thing is all this activity we had, a lot. At the end of the year, our revenue is 129,000 over the estimates in the budget. And I do that budget. And, we're doing that 1.5 years in advance. And no one at that time ever dreamt that we're going to have the kind of activity that we do. So this isn't somebody giving us, a big pot of gold. It's $10 bills and $11 many times through the day to get us that amount of money. So I'm really pleased to come and tell you that tonight. And hopefully that makes up now for this little extra time that I took. But I'm giving you a record year of business and trying to do that in 15 minutes. And I think there's just a lot here. So I appreciate it a lot. Anyone want to add anything? I'm glad you didn't have your midnight agenda tonight.
Yeah.
I just really compliment you.
Bob, though, I've got in my area, I've got a lot of older landowners, and when you, it's great to see that the land's going up, but you can almost divide the county in segments. Certain land is worth a lot more than other. So when the assessor goes out and starts appraising these, it's got to be within a sales within a smaller. It's not all of Winona County sales that impact their assessed value.
No, and what I'm giving you.
Some people will get very nervous with
Yes.
this.
This is the range, and this what was paid.
Mhm.
When it comes to the value for taxes, that's only some of these sales. There's
Right.
a lot of criteria that have to be met. And I've been working with John, and he is doing an outstanding job. We think in the 3 critical sales in tillable that we may have bounced the 3 out because of conditions that don't allow them to be part of the makeup of determining that taxable value. There's one thing though that is a concern. I've talked with Kay about it. In your area, Marcia, and some of the wooded areas of the county, we're having the woodland sold from the tillable. And we had one that probably is even 200 feet wide. There is a busy road on one side and tillable land on the other side. When deer hunting season comes, I hope there's no one in the combine because there's no buffer. And so what looks to be, a solution, we can sell the woodland and we're going to have some recreation and all these things that could take place. We might be walking into something that we've not experienced. And I don't want to put any restrictions on parties being able to sell land, but sometimes the geographic features within a short distance really make one wonder how well we're going to do in the future. And we're starting to see that with lots of pieces being split up. So we can probably talk about that and other things as the evening goes on, but we do need home sites. And the planning department has had their hands full. I know you had almost record permits this past year. And they just were going constantly trying to keep up. But we need each one of those homes. So I think there's been a lot of effort put in. And again, I want to thank you for all the time tonight. This is the core, the heart of our work. And we can be so proud of what we have, but we've got some indicators tonight that I've given you that show that, you know, there's some challenges.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Thank you and your staff.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Excellent
take
work.
some cookies.
And I appreciate that so much. And I do want to mention my staff. We are very unique, even in recorders' offices, where your time in the office can be so helpful. And all three of the primary people in our office are longtime county employees. They don't want to hear me say that, but
No.
I just say that they have been in the office for some time and they have the experience, and that pays every day. And I appreciate the work that all of you've done, and Maureen, you, to compensate accordingly. And I heard that talked about at a couple of the meetings here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob.
Thanks. Okay, so we're moving on to under general business to 8.2, which is discuss and or appoint citizen advisory committee volunteers. Is it the wish of the board to just go in the order down the page? All right. So the first appointment is for the Board of Adjustment, where there's one vacancy and there have been 2 applications. And it looks to me like both of those individuals are already serving on other committees.
Yes, and both of them offered to give up their first committee. In other words, the Board of Adjustment is now their first choice. No, except for Mr. Evenson, it's his second choice.
He did contact me and said he'd much prefer to serve on the Board of Adjustment than the Parks and Environmental.
I would like to nominate Kelly Stanage for the Board of Adjustment.
Mr. Kavesi has moved to appoint Kelly Stanich, and Commissioner Olson has seconded that. Discussion? Mr. Board.
Thank you. I know Ms. Stanich is in the audience, and I just have to point blank ask her because we're still in pending litigation and issues with the Board of Adjustments, with ties with committee applicants being tied to land stewardship. So Kelly, you want to come up to the podium, please? And I guess the question I have is, do you have or have you had any direct contact or workings with the land stewardship group based in Winona County in the past or present?
Past or present?
Past or present.
Well, as you're well aware, I was quite involved with the land stewardship project during the frac sand mining. But I haven't been involved since that was settled. I am a member of LSP, but I've not been intimately involved with them at all.
But you are a card carrying paid membership member.
I am a member.
Okay. With the pending litigation and how our county attorney has advised us, even us as county commissioners, talking about the application that's still under litigation, I just don't feel it would be wise. Ms. Stanich has 1 year left on the Planning Commission. She's done an excellent job. As I can see, I would prefer to wait and possibly see if this lawsuit issue goes away or is resolved in some way. I think putting somebody that is a land stewardship member would and could be problematic.
Other comments? Commissioner Jacob?
Well, and sitting on the Planning Commission, we really can't get by without Kelly. There's so many times where we're stuck and she makes the motions to bring all the pieces together, and it would be a shame to not have her on there for the full amount of time that she's available for.
Mr. Olson?
I mean, I obviously seconded Kelly's nomination, but I'm troubled when we have people that already served on another committee, and now we're just gonna create a vacancy to fill this one. That, I don't think that's the right methodology to fill positions when we are gonna just sit and create vacancies to fill another one, and then we just have a perpetual vacancy that we're chasing around as people wanna poke wherever their interest is. You know, I think it's our job just to fill the vacancies with the people that we think we should, but not the monopoly with them.
Yeah. I agree with Commissioner Olson on that, and I certainly think Don Evanson would be better suited to Board of Adjustment than Parks and Environmental, but I agree with, if our past practice has been to appoint people, have them sit that term, to not really play musical chairs with different people in different positions. I think it gives us an inconsistent method, and I would prefer to not appoint either one of them until they've served their existing committee, and then if they want to apply, I would like to reopen it.
So your preference would be to wait and get other suitable candidates?
Mhm.
I want to let everyone speak, but I did have some thoughts.
We actually have no qualifications in writing that address we take volunteers as they come. So to question somebody's membership in an association is something new. And I have seen the work that Kelly has done on the Planning Commission, and in reading her application, her desire to switch sounded reasonable to me. So that's really why I would support her for the Board of Adjustment. She would not be able to continue on the Planning Commission, so this is a way for her to continue to contribute her skill set on a new committee.
Well, then that really brings up another issue to me. In doing so, we're circumventing the term limit out and being off a year. That person's going to serve 5 years on one committee, and then last thing before they're off, we're going to shift them into another committee. So politically, it just looks like we're playing political games with different pieces in the community.
Yes, Ms. Qualley. Director Qualley.
Just a couple quick things, and I'll sit back down. Our counsel for the lawsuit has stated that unless a member of Land Stewardship Project was actively involved in testifying at the first hearing, that their membership in that organization was not troublesome to him. The other thing is, what Kelly is attempting to do with the Board of Adjustment, there is precedent with Richard Hunnewell, who did something very similar to that. So it isn't, at least in my short tenure of 5 years here, there were a couple of observations. Thank you.
Richard Honeywell was appointed by this board as the liaison. That's how he moved from one to the other.
Commissioner Ward.
Okay, and you're right, looking at the seats, Ms. Stanich's seat her current term if we go with the three 2-year terms would end this year, 12/31/2022. And if the lawyer says it doesn't bother him, I represent the public, and it would bother the public. The public there's been enough publicity about the land stewardship and commissioners and everything and how that panned out, and it still hasn't been played out fully through the courts. So even if a lawyer who lives in Minneapolis metro area doesn't have a problem with it, I know a large group of my constituency would have a very definitive problem with it. And I think if we can avoid that, avoid litigation, as our county attorney always says, or avoid, problematic appointments, I think we should avoid it.
I had a conversation with the county attorney a year ago. And in that conversation, I said something like, nope, maybe it was 2 years. No, it was a year ago. The conversation was sort of like, well, gee, can we ask these questions of people before we appoint them? Can we make them sort of foolproof, right? So that they're bulletproof in terms of having bias. And the answer that she gave me was no, that this is like a job interview. And you cannot say, oh, are you Episcopalian? Because if you are, we're not going to hire you. That's illegal. And so this kind of a litmus test for anyone who applies for these committees, it isn't really allowed. So I don't see that as a valid, I don't think that's a thing that we can do. I actually do share Commissioner Jacobs' thought that my favorite thing would be to not accept either of these candidates and to reopen this up. But there is a motion on the table, so.
So your idea, I didn't ask what religion they are. We have pending litigation and it specifically states land stewardship project. So that is a given. It's in the court records. It's proven. So, I don't see it as being problematic at all in asking. I think that's part of our due diligence. And again, County Attorney Solomon's always saying we should avoid any potential litigation. I think that it's fact. So, I don't see a problem with asking any applicant that question. If Mr. Evenson was here, I'd ask him the same question. I'd ask each candidate the same question, but he's not here, so I can't ask him.
I don't think it would be valid to ask him, are you in the Farm Bureau? Because if you are, then we can't appoint you because that shows that you have a bias.
Well, I personally could because I'm making these appointments on a personal recommendation, and I think it's within my reasonableness and my due diligence to know who these people are. There's people in these positions that are questionable in my, own mind, but that's enough said tonight.
Yeah, I stated earlier, we have nothing in writing, no qualifications. We take any volunteer that comes along. And that's sort of worked. At some point, we may want to sit down at a work session and outline some things, be a citizen of good standing and maybe define that. We've had applicants that have applied that have had tax in arrears and things like that. So, and we've never asked anything like this. We don't ask a party affiliation. We ask nothing. So if we want to, settle this, we may want to sit down and put some qualifications on for our volunteers. Otherwise, it's worked to the best that it's worked for so long not to have any specific qualifications.
Sure. Well, I agree with Commissioner Ward that it's really our due diligence, giving that this ongoing court case continues to cost the taxpayers a significant amount of money. For us to just ignore that that's going on and pretend that it's not there. And if this comes down to a 3-2 vote by this board to put someone from land stewardship in that position, and this goes back to court, I think we just sealed our fate on losing that battle. So I guess however it plays out is how it plays out.
Maybe 55-1.
And the Board of Adjustment is the only one with as much authority as, or even more authority
They
than
do
the
not
county
answer to the county
board.
board.
Yeah, they don't answer to the county board. They don't answer to, and to the taxpayers. I guess we could, as a county board, we could remove anybody on a vote. But they're the only board that we have that has to go to court, has to defend their decisions. Everyone else on this list is an advisory, and they don't have the impact to the county that the Board of Adjustment does. So there is definitely a different standard that I put in putting applicants on the Board of Adjustment.
I stated that, I mean, I did second it, and I'm gonna leave my second in place, and, but I did state that I don't like jumping from committee to committee. If you're on one, you should serve your term. With that.
Call a question.
Have a vote on calling the question, or is there more conversation?
Requires a vote.
Okay, so all those in favor of calling the question, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we are now going to vote. So, a motion has been made by Commissioner Kavesi, seconded by Commissioner Olson to appoint Kelly Stanich to the Board of Adjustment. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Say nay.
Nay, nay.
Okay, motion failed.
I'll make a motion to leave that particular seat open and continue to take applications, re-advertise it, or it's in the ongoing advertisement for committees that are open.
Second that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Ward, seconded by Commissioner Jacob, to leave the position open and try to get some new candidates. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. So, thank you for coming, Ms. Stanich. We will be opening that and asking staff to go ahead and see if they can't get some additional candidates. There are no vacancies on the Health and Human Services Advisory Board, though we have an application, so we'll skip that. We'll skip.
I
Yeah.
apologize. We did talk at our last advisory, though, of potentially adding membership. So I maybe the message didn't get through.
We did add someone at the last.
But I don't know, did we limit it to just one? I mean, I don't
We
know.
had
what the-
no vacancies and we did add somebody last
Yes,
time.
you did add someone. I don't have that with me now,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
He
but I don't
had
know that-
asked that it was his first choice and he hadn't been chosen for any other committee.
I guess I'm questioning that we were limiting it to just one. Again, we had that discussion at the committee meeting, and we said we would like to open it up to more people. I don't know that we made the decision that it would be just one person.
I don't
I
recall-
thought
I
this
don't-
person has a lot of good credentials.
I don't recall that we said we wanted to recruit more individuals for the HHS committee.
Right, okay,
So we
okay,
didn't know.
all right.
Did you want to appoint this individual?
Well, I thought they had a lot of good, a lot of good qualifications. And we've talked about how we need a broader and diverse group in that Health and Human Service Advisory, because it is both Health and Human Service. And we used to have two committees. We used to have separate Health and Human Service. And again, it's advisory. And let me just pull up the right person.
How many members do we currently have on that committee? It's a large committee.
Well, 2, 4, 6.
Oh, you have that list?
Well, this is the old list. I've got 2, 4, 6, 7
And we added
individuals
one
and then a
last
couple
time.
commissioners.
Yeah, and we added one last time.
Okay.
There's more than 7, I think.
Well, can we get clarification from Karen Sanis and the committee, what we intended to do with that, I guess? And then we can just, I would say, let's just leave it pending.
We'll take no action tonight.
Yeah, I would take no action on that committee.
Oh, Greg. I'm sorry. Oh, Commissioner Olson. Okay, so.
You inhaling that cookie through your hands?
He's enjoying it, man. Okay, so Extension has a vacancy, but we didn't get any applications, so I guess we need to be more diligent in recruiting. Parks and Environment, it has 2 vacancies. And while it says we received 1 application, oh, I see. Ms. Dieterman did not reapply, but she did because we opened it again, right? So we have a reappointment, and then Ms. Newman has applied and would like to be on the committee.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so Commissioner Olson moves that we go ahead and reappoint Ms. Dieterman and appoint Ms. Newman to Parks and Environment. Yes, Commissioner Ward.
Just for clarification, yeah, so Christine Dieterman has been on for two terms and she wants to continue.
Yeah. It's my understanding she was unaware that she was.
Well, that brings to point the unawareness that is a fault within our own system. And I thought we distinctly made each department head who had sat as the advisory on this. And then when then it somehow got shifted to personnel. We have to have clarity before next November, who's going to make these contacts. And I see
Administrator
Ms. Holt's trying to flag me.
We actually do multi approaches. So we not only have the departments contact them, whoever's running the committee communicates with them. We also send an email directly to them advising them that they have to reapply and what they need to do.
Okay.
So they are being notified.
Okay.
I can't attest whether they're getting their emails or looking at their emails or anything else. I can only tell you we have verification, we sent it.
Okay. Okay. And that's what's important is that we have multiple people, making contact. All
I
right.
think we need to have verification that the person responded,
Yeah.
yes or no.
Valid point.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That would be
I agree.
an important part of the process.
Okay. So the other two committees, EDA and Planning Commission, there weren't vacancies. So that moves us to the Stockton, Rolling Stone, Minnesota City Watershed District, which had a vacancy and had one application.
Move to appoint Bill Haxton.
Second,
Motion from Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Kavesi to appoint Mr. Haxton to the Watershed District. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. So I think we have a request regarding HHS, and then any place where there's vacancies, we would ask staff to go ahead and recruit again.
I do have a question, Madam Chair. EDA, we did have some. I thought I read somewhere that somebody else resigned from.
It's on the
sorry.
next page, page 248. Yeah.
Yeah, so it says here we don't have any openings. Or we have some ex officio openings.
Yeah, we have ex officio openings.
Okay, so that one's still being advertised.
And we have two ex officio positions.
Okay, okay.
So moving along. This takes us to 8.3, discuss provide direction for the interim county administrator salary. It looks to me from the packet like the request is that we give direction potentially for the county attorney to work with the interim county administrator to negotiate a contract, salary and conditions of employment for consideration at a future meeting.
Question I have is both parties willing to do that?
With
Are you willing to-
direction, yeah, I am with
Willing.
direction from the county board as to what you would
Okay.
like to see in terms and conditions.
What's minimum wage right now?
50,
I can tell you they're getting a lot more than that over at Menards.
depending on skilled or unskilled.
with the cookies he's getting.
Who's having a sugar rush?
Are you a Minnesota Viking fan?
She's not.
She's being
Right one.
Madam Chair,
Wisconsin.
sorry, we're getting a little, it's late in
Yeah.
the evening. I have had experience working with our prior county administrator, Mr. Fritz, on his contract. So I did assist the board in negotiating with Mr. Fritz. So I have that experience, and I'm more than willing to work with Ms. Holte if that is the
So
board's
moved.
direction. Second.
Okay, so there's a motion from Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Kavesi to go ahead as recommended in the packet on the item 8.3. Commissioner Ward.
I have been asked the question by constituents about the statute to not live in the county. Is that forever or you brought it up? Is it they don't have to live in the county when they're appointed, or they don't have to live in the county forever. I was asked for clarity on
Oh,
that.
I'll have to look at that again, but I think,
Okay.
on an interim basis, it doesn't, I don't think it applies.
Okay,
So
but I guess it would be important to know too
Yes,
on a,
that's a very good point, Commissioner Ward,
non-interim.
so I will look at that again. Thank you.
okay. And then with negotiating with Ms. Holte, I would hope that her staff, because you have a much larger staff than you had back when I first became commissioner, that staff has grown, but responsibilities in the HR world have grown too. Is this going to mean that we have to add staff because your responsibilities will be expanded? Or will your staff be able to carry the pieces, or we just don't do something that we don't have to do?
So we're currently,
Yes, please go ahead.
we're currently evaluating what we can do. I have met with almost all of the staff. I have a couple more to meet with. And so we're all brainstorming about what we can do. What we're anticipating, again, depending on the length of time, if it's a shorter window, we can, not do some things.
Right.
But it really is going to depend on how long this drags out. And I'm just being honest with you.
I am guessing.
Don't lie to us.
I am guessing that Administrator Hulte knows that our preference is, if she has to get some additional staff, that she'll do that as a temporary.
Yeah, and we've
I don't know if
negotiated,
that's budgeted for.
we've negotiated interim positions
We're
before.
not paying the administrators.
Yeah, that's right.
salary,
Yeah, so we're saving, yeah, but we don't have to spend that all right now. It's okay to save some. It's okay to save some money.
I can assure you we won't spend that.
Mr. Jacob.
Yeah.
As long as we're still in discussion for the vote. There should be some benefits that go along with having an assistant county administrator. And this is exactly one of those times where we need her to fill in. She should be, many counties don't have an assistant county administrator, so we're already paying for that salary. Other side of that is whatever you guys negotiate and bring back to us, I would expect that it's retroactive back to the first of the year. Because, I mean, it's not going forward. She's been serving in that position, so.
From
I agree- I
December
agree.
29th then? I
Yeah.
think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Prince,
January
December
1.
28th?
Yeah.
Give us a couple
All right.
days on
January
the
1st, I
freebie.
think.
Okay. Just to keep it-
Yeah, and we've negotiated interim salary positions several times, so I think we're in good shape to work that out.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, no further discussion? If not, all those in favor of moving ahead with this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Commissioner Ward?
Yeah, I would ask for a future action item that we delve into the funding that was proposed for a transfer from general fund to Health and Human Services, with Ms. Sanis offering to give us a better breakdown.
Are you open to really just kind of general understanding of the overall predictability of the budget and the things, the factors that can be, come into play?
Well, yes and no.
Only this specific one, or
Well-
just kind of in general what the struggle is? I mean, for our
Right.
full information, as we speak
Yeah.
to the as
Well,
lobbying.
we almost every meeting, in this meeting, we were heavily approving a lot of agreements.
Mm-hmm.
And part of my angst is that we approve these agreements, and do we really have control over these agreements? It's an hourly factor, but we don't know how many people we're serving. We don't know how many hours we've budgeted for that contract. I mean, the management it's difficult. I understand it's very difficult. But when we're doing all these services, and the state of Minnesota says you'll do all these services without funding, and we approve an hourly rate, I mean, in your household budget, you just wouldn't do it this way. And I know government's different and we have all these different parameters, but I think we need a better understanding of where we're going with this and how we need to push back at the state level to say this is not, what it's designed for.
I mean, I would second your motion, but I would like Director Sanis to have enough freedom to kind of do a little broader education in terms of helping us with our lobbying efforts.
Yeah, whatever she feels, would be of value.
So I'll second you.
Okay, all right.
So I guess just in the interest of, this second is only gonna bring it back to the full board to decide, because I have some
And then we can,
thoughts on all that.
yeah,
I think we all
maybe.
already have the opportunity to get this information if we want it. This is information you're asking for that I think you believe the rest of us. But I've watched that department very closely since the day I took office, and the margins have become so much tighter. And if we saw 871 when I took office, we'd be like, this is great. But, yeah, many times.
Couple million, 2 million.
A couple times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I agree with that. And that was a conversation I had with Administrator Fritz very early on, and now Administrator Holte, looking to you, that department, the revenue recapture is so critical, and it's hard for, I think, for the employees in that department they're so focused on providing the service that this other aspect of collecting revenue just seems like, that it's wasting our time, but it's not. I mean, so the administration's involvement in that has been key to get it to where it's at. And so I guess I would support the.
Okay, so we'll see if we can, sounds like we'll have at least 3 people voting for it next time we talk about it.
Another discussion. Yes.
Okay, so I think I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Second. Okay, motion by Olson, seconded by Commissioner Kavesi to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This is a great stump catcher.